Hey, everybody, what's up? Just got a special episode tonight. Just going to be me and one of my oldest friends, Mike Morgan. We've been trying to get him on the show here for, I'd say about 2 years. And so, you know, we're missing our boy Pudge, but he'll be back. Don't worry about him. But I'm going to have to captain this one this evening. So welcome to the show. Hey, Pudge, what time is it?
It's time for the Chubby Guys podcast.
Woo! Hey there, man. What's up?
Hey, not much. We've been talking about this for a while. So.
Yeah, it's been a minute, man. Yeah, and now here we are, man.
Glad to be here.
Hey, glad you're in town. I mean, you know, it's rare. I'd like to talk about that. I mean, I'd say a lot of people on here know Mike Morgan. I mean, hell, we were talking about, in the GOAT conversation, he came up many times. I mean, this guy's got more letters than the freaking post office. I mean, but we're old men now. But you basically are a guy. You grew up in Jackson and then graduated and went to college about 8 hours away and never came back.
Well, I don't know about never came back.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I still come back, but it's not as often.
Well,
as,
I mean, it's kind of hard. Life happens, dude.
It is. But you're right. No, I went to school up in Michigan. Almost at that time, 7.5 hours away, and then had opportunities to go to North Carolina, and then graduate school, things like that, and then jobs and kids and families and stuff happens.
It does.
But my parents are still here, so I still come back to visit.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, you got Jackson roots. Your family is all from here. Your parents, I mean, they're all Jackson people, born, raised in Jackson. So, let's talk a little bit about your journey. Okay, you obviously athletics were a big part of your life in high school. Hey, do you want to help develop your child's athletic ability? Or maybe you want to get off the couch and make yourself a little bit better? They earn the day at AP Prep. Look them up, apprep.info. Hey, are you a business owner looking for insurance coverage? Give this guy a call. You know him. You trust him. Jason Gillum, Gillum Insurance, 740-395-0190. Stuff like that. And then what went into your decision-making process, and like what kind of walk us through your trajectory, and what led you to Ferris State?
Well, I mean, obviously a lot of people influenced me and through the years and been of a great help to me. Larry Blackstone was, for sure.
Oh, yeah.
So sports were a big deal. All my coaches were great. So, I just fell in love with football, and I think he had a lot of influence in that. I mean, your father, as a young man, influenced that. My parents, everything. And going through high school, I just had a goal to want to play football somewhere. Ferris State, I actually went, a lot of people probably don't know this, but I went to Michigan's football camp as a junior in high school, which I know that's not a great thing to say. But at the time, University of Michigan's football camp was the best camp in the country.
Oh, no question.
And then when I was there, the head coach of Ferris State was named Keith Otterbein. He was the position coach for me.
Okay.
So I got to see him there. He got to get to know me and then continue to recruit me through that process after that. At the same time, a lot of people know Mark Fennick.
I was going to say, now Mark was there, wasn't he?
He
at
was.
That time?
So Mark Fennick was an assistant coach at Ferris State as a linebacker coach.
Okay.
Now Ron,
was one of our coaches,
high school coach here. So Mark was involved a little bit in that as well, and that's kind of how it got started. Excuse me. So then I had an opportunity to get a scholarship and go play football at a Division II school that up in Michigan. And the place in Michigan is in Big Rapids, Michigan. It's a lot like Jackson. It's a small town. I felt extremely comfortable when I went to visit. The guys just felt like being home, really.
And how far are we from the Mackinac Bridge there, man?
About 2.5 hours.
Oh,
south.
you're still pretty far south.
It's just north. It's about an hour north of Grand Rapids.
Oh, okay.
On the west side. So it was. That's how I got there. That was the gist of it. But
was it one of those situations where you got on campus and you're like, "Hey, man"?
I knew it immediately.
Yes. Oh, okay.
I did.
Okay.
I had some goals. I didn't want a huge campus. I didn't want to be in a city. I wanted grass. I wanted trees. I wanted to feel big enough that I didn't see and know everybody.
Right.
But, it was a 20-minute walk from one end of campus to the other.
Yeah.
And it was
Did you look anywhere else, man? Or was it like when you went there, you're like, hey, man, okay.
No, I did. I went to Kent State quite a bit. Ohio University wanted me to walk on there.
Yeah.
Some things like that. And then West Liberty was another one that wanted dabbled with Army a little bit. They started recruiting me, started to look at that process and was like, oh boy, not sure I'm cut out for that. But once I got to Ferris and saw the campus, it was over. It was immediate.
Yeah.
You just knew. So.
Right. It's amazing when you have that feeling, and now you're going through that with your daughters. But I mean, but like, so here's the dynamic that I think that, we see a lot of Jackson kids, and by the way, I think they're doing a lot better now, but like there's a lot of Jackson kids that go and try to play football or pick a school that's really far away. Like in those days, man, Jackson kids, we weren't going that far away to school, dude. I mean, now I got a daughter that's in Providence.
Exactly.
I mean, like the world's small today, but like back then, dude, I mean, you show up, your parents drop you off, you're 7.5 hours away from home.
And I didn't know a soul in Michigan. But, I had a lot of good
football
guidance.
Helps with that.
Football helped because I had friends instantly.
Yeah, I mean, you're on a team. So.
And you get there early, and that's what it is. But, from my end, I've talked to my kids, and I help coach a little bit now, high school. Yeah. And for me, it was I was so excited because I knew that's all I wanted to do was play ball.
Right.
Always. And it didn't matter what ball, through high school, through as a kid, I just wanted to play ball.
Right.
So for me, I was looking forward to college. I wasn't nervous. I couldn't wait to get there.
Yeah, it's like, hey, let's go.
Because I had the chance to play.
Right.
And then you're instantly put in a group of people that have the same mentality as you.
Yeah.
And you become friends, and you're there ahead of all the students.
My God, as a parent of an 8-year-old with a family and moving through life, the best thing I ever did was download the McDonald's app. What a breeze. Order for your family. Pull up. They bring it to you. Easy. Download the app today from McDonald's. Hey, guys, on behalf of the Chubbies, huge thanks to Geiger Brothers Construction. Give them a call at 740-286-0800. They've been great community supporters, and they are a friend of the Chubby program, so thank you, Geiger Brothers Construction.
And you already know and are familiar with campus and people. So I often say I didn't really experience a lot of what a lot of people go through college life.
You didn't have like that big nervousness of like, oh man, I don't know anybody. I'm kidding here. Got to meet my roommate, all that. I mean, hey, dude, and when you're on the football team, you're there almost a month before everybody else.
Yep.
You know where everything is. You're already in and out of the cafeteria doing everything. I mean, and you're living football for a while. I mean, once school starts, you're like, well, hell, man, this day's a hell of a lot easier than what I've been doing.
Oh, and it's crazy. Yeah. I mean, and it's that way. You can talk about it. Like we played every Saturday.
Yeah.
So there was no tailgating at colleges. I never experienced any of that till I got out of school. There was none of that. And that part of the college experience, I didn't really experience.
Don't you think, I mean, I've said this before. One of the major positives about college athletics at any level is I do think it really helps you stay on track in school.
You have to.
You know what I mean? Like it really adds a focus to where there aren't a lot of guys that don't do at least decent academically if they're on a team, and if they're not going to be on that team long if they don't.
Right, and they set it up. I mean, they're making an investment in you.
Oh, absolutely.
In a way. So
yes.
I mean, there are mandatory study tables. You can't get out of it.
Yeah.
It's every night after practice for 2 to 3 hours, and it's mandated until you show that your grades are well enough. And even upperclassmen had to keep coming back to study tables if they couldn't keep it up.
Oh yeah,
and they do everything they can. We had grade checks every week with our position coach. They knew all the assignments. You're on track because they're not going to let you. They know
what's going on in your life,
right?
As far as that goes.
Well, they're not going to let you get off track.
No, and I mean, I think that's helpful. I mean,
it's a huge help.
I needed that.
A lot of kids probably need it.
Yeah, I needed that, and you think, oh man, these study tables, but it finally clicked with me after 3 or 4 weeks. Like, hey, dude, you're going to be there for 2 hours anyway. Get your shit done.
Exactly. Well, I mean and you didn't really have to go through I'm scared to ask for help.
Oh no.
You were forced to have that.
Yeah, right.
And unfortunately, I was a good enough student and
Right.
understood that enough. I didn't really have to ask for a lot.
No.
But there were a lot of kids I know and guys I played with that needed help.
Yeah, well, and it creates good habits.
Yeah.
Early on.
Yep.
And I mean, that's something that a regular college student, you're not on a team or anything. You go and I mean, man, you got to have some discipline, dude.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, and, we're playing football, well, they're taking care of that.
They are.
Year round.
And, you look at college, too, and playing athletics in college it has its other side, too.
Yeah.
That it's not easy, and everyone's the same. They're all good.
Yeah, yeah.
And you show up, and there's times where you're like, I don't think I can do this.
Yeah.
But you can't quit, and people won't let you quit.
Well, and here's the other thing, man. I know you know this. I mean, you're out there on Tuesday night for 3 hours or whatever, 2 hours, and then hey, maybe you got a lift, then you got meetings, then you watching film, then you got study table. I mean, they keep you in season. My God, there isn't a whole lot of free time, and you kind of look around while you're out there at practice, and you think, boy, there's a lot of other stuff to do on a college campus other than this.
I mean, it really is. I mean, it really becomes a full-time job.
Oh,
I mean, it really does. And then, and during season, but even in off season, because there's spring games, there's spring ball, there's workouts in the summer. You have to show up in shape. There's a lot going on, and then you got roommates. Once you get out of the sports dorm we had at the time, and then you get your other buddies.
Yeah,
and they're like, "Hey, we're going on Thursday to the bar at 5." Then I'm like, I can't.
Yeah, I can't do it, dude. We got
have fun.
we got
if
practice.
You need me to pick you up, I'll come get you.
So, and there's days you're thinking, damn, man, I wouldn't mind doing
good.
that. Yeah, I mean, but what when you look at that, though, the college experience, and you're talking about the year round, like what does spring football look like at the Division II level?
Pretty much the same it does at D1. It's horrible.
Because they don't care if you get hurt. I mean, you got plenty of time.
You got time to heal up. You're just beating each other to death. It's just intense. 15 days. You condition prior to it for a week or two prior in the mornings, and then you go and you compete. For what you're going to be in, what position you're going to be in, first, second.
Learn
team
a lot about the team
coming into the fall.
Oh yeah, and
they make decisions,
and they're not really worried about probably. I mean, you're not doing a lot of conditioning in the practice. It's physical.
It's physical, and and playing even playing quarterback in the spring. Most of the time, you're live.
Yeah, during no orange jersey.
We're not live.
Yeah, right.
During the spring, it's like we got to see what they got.
Yeah, right.
Stand in there and take a shot while you throw it.
Yeah,
we don't care. You'll heal up.
Yeah, you'll be all right. Yeah.
So it's pretty intense. I mean, even and there's a lot of just beating each other up.
Yeah, I always hear that from most people that have participated in spring ball that it's like, I've never heard anybody be like, man, I'll tell you what, I love spring ball. Never heard anybody say that.
No,
I mean,
and I'll tell you, at the end of your career, when you realize the majority of people are never going anywhere,
right?
By about year 4, you're like, it almost deters you from wanting to come back. It's like, oh, I don't want to do spring again.
Yeah.
So it's that, but it's short lived, and then you forget about it a little bit. But
well, I mean, and I'm sure that there's probably a lot of things in your life that you would attribute that some successful outcomes to going through that grind.
Oh yeah,
I mean, there's a lot of lessons learned.
You can. I mean, sports just teaches all kind of life lessons.
Yeah.
And that's why I still coach it today, because the kids need to see these and they need to be involved in it. And even the ones that don't play, there's still lessons to be learned from being part of it.
Well, yeah, being
and
part
going
of a
through
team.
the work and going through the sacrifice with other guys and girls and whatever it may be.
Yeah,
it's.
I mean, I'm biased. We both
it's
are.
been my life.
Yeah, and I think it's. I mean, I think that's. I think it's. I love to see kids participate in some activity. I mean, and Pudge and I talk a lot, when we get into dad game stuff here, man. I mean, I don't care necessarily if my kids play a sport or whatever, but I want them to be passionate about something. I mean, that might be the marching band, dude. I don't know.
And it is
might,
for me.
Yeah,
my kids. I have 3 daughters, and one of them, my oldest daughter, was a diehard marching band.
Oh yeah,
and that was her thing, and that was her team. And that was great.
And I think that's fantastic. Or I don't know, maybe it's art, maybe it's whatever. I mean, I want to see
some passion toward it.
Towards something.
Yep.
Something that you got to do a little extra to, and I find that to be really important. I'm not saying you have to play sports, but man, I just think you got to be passionate about something and be active in it.
Absolutely.
There's some kind of a lesson to be learned there. But like, let's talk about, you make the comment, you said, I thought it was interesting. My life has been ball. Okay. Well, I mean, you and I grew up right beside each other. Early years of our life.
Yeah.
And I know all of us old guys, and this is a sound of old, like we like to sit there. Hey, bud, I'll tell you what, when we were kids, I mean, we didn't have these iPads and all this stuff. I mean, we literally went out and played ball all day.
Well, it's all we had.
Until night.
We had a bike and we had a ball and a glove. That was pretty much it.
Yeah.
I mean, we did have a video game, but it had one stick and one.
Yeah, and it just wasn't that fun. I mean, you did. I mean, our group. I mean, I'm not saying we didn't play it like in the winter. I mean, we'd sit there and play Atari a little bit, but I was never very good at it, and it wasn't. I don't remember being ate up with that.
No.
Because what we did. I mean, hell, it literally whatever season it was. I mean, we're out there playing. If it's football, we were out there in your backyard.
Yep.
And we had a field there. And I mean, putting on those pads from Sears and Roebuck or what.
Just getting beat up by Bruce Sater and Ronnie Sheets.
Yeah. And I even shouted out Pete Wolford one time. He's like, I think I played in a few of those games. I said, well, you probably did.
I'm not sure how they thought that was fair. The sixth graders versus the third graders. Yeah, we were always on the same team.
Yeah.
But hey, they had to win, I guess.
Well, I mean, why, you look back at that, like, why was it me, you, and Doug Hughes, and maybe Woodard against Sheets, Sater,
Brad Haynes,
Gallagher sometimes. You'd have John Lewis used to come over there. And I mean, he was big at that age, and I thought, I was scared to death of him.
Oh, it was fun times, though. We had good, that you don't see that a lot. But we live in a big neighborhood, and you hardly see kids playing the ball like that or doing that. I mean, they're riding their bikes and they're going fishing and stuff, but you don't see anybody out in the backyard playing a lot like that.
Well, I mean, you look at it like then, I mean, baseball season or, summer. I mean, my God, every day in the summer, dude. I mean, and we had a few locations that I've laughed about with some other guys on here that I love to reminisce about, man. I mean, first, our backyards. So we had like a little, that was a wiffle ball only field there. Pretty much. I mean, up the hill. I mean,
we had the dirt spots going out for the bases, though.
Yeah, we didn't have to lay anything down. Yeah, they were
good.
Yeah, and we had like a bush that was like the backstop. I mean, and a lot of wiffle ball played there. I mean, and that was fun. But then like when we were on a real big day, we'd go down to Eddie Jones.
Somehow we get in there and climb that fence and break in.
And then you remember. There, we didn't have enough guys to field 9, so you had to pull hit.
Yep. Or you were out. You didn't pull it left a second, out.
Yeah. If anybody, if you go oppo, out.
Yep.
I mean, it was, and man, it's kind of funny. Like we were just lobbing the ball in there, doing that, trying to hit dingers. And it would happen occasionally. But like, I mean, you think about that, man. We were kind of learning something there.
We were, and I remember, too, the other place we used to play all the time is because the Walburn boys were... They were always gathering the crew.
Oh, yeah, and, they were the ones.
And we would go play with a real bat and a tennis ball in the church parking lot.
Dude, great games.
And we would be out in the outfield, like in the middle of like Oak Street or whatever over there.
Yeah. And do you remember, we'd get to the point where it's like, all right, 3 home runs, because I think first it started off, it was a home run if it was in the street.
Right.
Then it had to be over the street. But then it was like, all right, you get 3 of them, and then it's an out.
That's right. So we had the places we played. It was fun. But
well, and then how many times did we, all right, take a break or whatever, and then we'll split teams. You had Matt and Stevie fighting each other about a rule or something,
usually,
or Willie and something. I mean, everybody's always arguing about something.
Yeah.
And then, all right, let's take a break, go over to Stop and Go, get a guzzler. Every different flavor they had. Guzzler, let's go.
Yep.
And I mean, then back. And I mean, like it is different as a parent. Like I can sit there and talk about the good old days and like, look at my son like, hey, bud, why aren't you out playing baseball or whatever? But then it's like, am I going to let him drive over on his bike?
Well, I think
it's a different
changed.
world now.
I mean, we didn't have to go on a road. Really.
No.
My kids, I mean, in the world we're living in now, I mean, they can't get out of our neighborhood without having a highway or something to get to. So it made it a little different. But I mean, even in our town, we don't live in the downtown area.
Right.
If you did, you could do the same kind of thing.
Right.
But it's a lot
would
of
you
people don't live like that.
would you feel secure letting your girls leave the house at age 9, 10? I mean, dude, I don't even know how old we were when we started
Probably
that.
not.
But I mean,
not like now. Not like we did.
I mean, we're coming from Fleetwood over there, driving to High Street.
Well, then again, I mean, our parents knew we were probably going to be in about one of three places.
Well, they knew where we were going. They could find us. I mean, we didn't have phones.
Or they knew people all over town that could see us where we were.
Yeah, well, and I know that the one thing is it wasn't like we were ever like by ourselves.
Right.
Like there was always a group.
Yep.
Oh,
it looked like a bike gang.
Yeah. I mean, it was always a group. And I mean, it was like we weren't out there just riding bikes. I mean, we did that in the neighborhood some, but like the bike was nothing more than a vehicle that got you to where you needed to go.
Yeah.
I mean.
So, yeah, you'd say, I said ball's my life, but I mean, I did. I mean, that's what we did growing up.
We started that, dude.
We did it growing up, and then I continued to do it for a long time after that.
Think about it, man. Also, like I said, every season, okay, we'd be out there in the winter wearing a winter coat playing basketball in Bruce Sater's driveway.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, and we didn't think anything about it. It's basketball season.
Yep.
We didn't have a gym. I mean, and those games would get intense, man.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it was. It was.
I mean, it wasn't any good if there wasn't at least one fight.
Oh, I know.
Like somewhere.
Yeah, somebody was arguing, and the thing is, though, I look back on that from a developmental perspective. Do you think we got anything out of that? Other than maybe social lessons, or I mean, dude, I don't know. The more you play anything, whether you're doing it right or wrong, it's good, right? I mean,
it is. I think I look back sometimes. My youngest daughter played basketball, freshman, and softball and some things like that. And nowadays, I think all of it's built around this year-round AAU. You got to have these special coaches kind of thing. Yeah. Where when we were kids, I remember going to play pickup basketball games at the high school.
Yep.
Because nowadays you can't even get into high schools.
No,
they were open. We just go in there and play.
Right.
Or Walburn was the AD, and he would open it up and do work while we played.
Yeah, right.
But I remember playing those games, and you learned how to play as a young kid because of Steve Walburn, and the older kids would.
Right.
They would rip your rear end if you did it wrong.
Oh yeah,
like you learned how to set a screen and how to box out and how to cut and get open and And if you did it wrong, they yelled at you.
Yeah,
they told you.
Yeah, you'd have like Smalley or Walburn, and when I'm like, "Hey man, come on."
Yeah, what are you doing? No.
Why are you shooting at?
Right.
Or what?
That's how we learned a lot. I think playing with older kids, and the fact that they allowed us to play with them because they needed guys, which was awesome.
I mean, you look back on that, man, and that's funny. I mean, we were talking about like in the football games, it'd be older guys. Gavin Miller played in those a lot, but I think that helped us, like particularly like in basketball, dude. I mean, hey, when you're playing against an older guy, I mean, it's harder to get a shot off.
Yes.
I mean, you got to work to get a shot off.
Right.
And you don't even realize you're doing that work because you're just, you're just playing. I mean.
Well, and I still think there's still you can play all you want to. Mm-hmm. You got to have some talent to it, and you got to work on your own at it too. I'm still a believer that if you're not out doing the fundamental stuff on a regular basis, you can play all the games you want. You're not going to get good.
Well, and I mean, I think in football, which is probably both of our favorite sport, that's fair, right?
Yep.
I mean, like you see a kid like, and I'm not saying it never happens. All right. There are guys that don't maybe put in any time in the weight room or something.
Correct.
And they're still just phenomenal.
They're freaks.
But that is not the standard, dude. Like honestly, if you're going to be a good football player, you have got to be strong. You've got to train.
Yep.
I mean, there's and to your point, there's a lot of individual time that you have to spend.
In any sport, there really is.
Yeah, you got to do more than what's required by the team.
Right. And I think in football it's harder because you can't just play games.
Oh no, football.
You have to do stuff.
Football. I mean, it's a weird game in the fact that you don't. I mean, hey man, you can't just call up 22 dudes. Hey man, let's just go play.
No,
there's
a lot of fundamental work and a lot of film work and a lot of that kind of stuff. That understanding of concepts. Right. Is what changed.
And we were very fortunate for our high school experience. I mean, we had a coach that had been. I mean, that dude knew what he was doing.
Yep.
And he came in there, and we weren't very damn good when he got here.
We were terrible.
Yeah, let's just say it.
They hadn't even won a game in like 3 years.
Yeah, it was awful.
Or more.
It was awful. And I mean, the one of the things as I've gotten older and I did some coaching and all that kind of stuff, I look back and I think, man, that guy, we didn't even know what was going on, but he was making us tough.
Yep.
Completely changing the attitude. And he knew probably the first 2 or 3 years, I mean, hey guys, probably going to be tough.
Yeah.
I mean, we both played when we were young, dude.
14.
I mean, hey, I was in there. I mean, that sophomore year, I don't think I weighed 150 pounds. I don't know, but I was playing center, dude. And God bless your ass, you were behind me. And I mean, I remember just getting 8 up. I mean, 8 up.
Well, I remember being young and nervous.
Yeah.
And I remember making a statement one time. My mom asked me if I was ever scared, I think. Mm-hmm. And I remember as a freshman, I always thought, you know what? Not really, because I got Todd Bachtel standing beside me.
Yeah, he's right there. Yeah.
I'm not nervous.
And he ain't nervous.
And I remember this. I remember this clear as yesterday. I mean, right there. Mm-hmm. Coach Blackstone came to me and he said he didn't want me hurt either.
No.
We ran a lot of quarterback run options, and he said to me, pitch the ball every time.
Yeah. Do not keep it.
What? He said, you don't run it. I don't care if the entire team is running toward Bachtel, pitch him the ball.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, he's sitting there, he's looking at a 14-year-old kid, dude. I mean, it's like, what is he, he's like and our schedule was no joke at that time. And I literally remember throwing, they always joke about the lookout blocks. I literally remember turning around screaming at you a few times, look out, here they come. I just got whipped. I mean, I couldn't touch the guy.
Well, I mean, early on, we were all getting whipped.
Yeah.
I mean, we had a couple of good players.
Yeah, well, I mean,
and we were all young and we were weak.
We were weak. I mean, and like I remember in that same Ironton game where I was throwing out lookout blocks. I mean, this kid was just fucking hardly touching. And he's just flying through there killing people. And finally, I just, I was desperate. I snapped the ball and I just tackled him.
Yep.
And the official came over and guess, I'm not even going to throw a flag. I go, I don't know what else to do. He goes, I know you don't, son.
Well, you know what? We got it turned around, but I'm convinced, though, that the biggest part of that turnaround was in putting the weight program in place.
Oh.
And because it changes kids' mentality when they see success and they can see themselves getting bigger and stronger.
Right.
And then they become confident, and then they believe that they're better.
Well, and that's the thing. Like, I know myself in the weight room, early on, I didn't have much success in the weight room. I was a slower developing kid or something. Like, I mean, how you had all these other guys, I mean, they're throwing weight around and they're like crazy. And, and I'm like, damn, and then, coach had a way of motivating you, and I got in there in the winter of my junior year and it all changed. I mean, and I started falling in love with that part of the deal. And then you start seeing the results of it. You're like, well, shit.
Well, and and it was so much for me. I loved so much about what it did and how it helps all sports. I mean, they all needed it.
Oh, dude, there is not a sport out there that it's not better to be big and strong.
Well, and it's for injury prevention. There's all kind of stuff. But I mean, even then, my journey continued after Ferris.
Yeah, you were
East Carolina University as
a
a grad assistant strength coach for their football team at D1.
Yeah,
and that was also an opportunity that was afforded to me because of Coach Blackstone.
Oh yeah.
Because it was a player that he coached in college was the strength coach, and he called him up and said, if he says you're the guy, then you're the guy.
Yeah. And that's it.
I went down there sight unseen and spent 3 years of graduate school working in a D1 football program and the strength and conditioning side of it.
Yeah, and that I'll tell you, that had to be an awesome experience. I got down there to visit you a couple times, and I mean that was just that was awesome, man.
Unbelievable experience.
And the head coach, the head strength coach, Coach Connors, I got to meet him. The Salem graduate there, played football at Salem for coach, and I mean that dude right there,
special character.
Hey, that dude takes no prisoners, man.
No, he was one of the best that ever did it.
Yeah,
he's retired now.
Yeah,
but wow, you learn a lot from guys like that.
yeah,
intense.
I don't know. I think I'd have been about half scared of him.
Well, I mean, I watched him threaten to fight the entire defensive line one day.
Yeah,
and I mean, they're all like 6'5", 280.
And he was serious.
Oh, he would have.
Yeah.
And then I'm thinking, hey, is he going to ask me to bag him up? Because, hey, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know about
I'm sure
this.
I'm ready for that.
Yeah. Hey, well, and I mean, let's tell. There's a couple stories I want you to tell about Connors.
Oh,
all right. When you first get to East Carolina, you drive down there.
I did.
And you went to his house. You're going to be staying at his house for a few days or something.
I was.
And he wasn't even home or what?
So I was. We set this up. I mean, back then, there was no cell phone, so it was
right.
It was hey, you need to be here by May 15th, or you ain't got a job.
Okay.
I said, okay. So I loaded up my car with everything I could fit in it. First, my golf clubs went in first.
Yeah.
And then drove 9 hours to Greenville, North Carolina. And he said, hey, when you get into town, stop at this restaurant and get the payphone and call the house. Okay. And then we'll come get you or guide you.
Yeah.
So I get there. I've been in the car for 9.5 hours. I don't know a soul. I go in there and call, and his wife answers and says, oh, he's at the golf course. I'm like,
what?
Okay. She said, he told me to come and get you and just take you out there. I said, all right. So we do, and get my clubs out of the car. I've been in the car for almost 10 hours at this point.
Yeah.
And this other gentleman comes in, big guy, owned a car dealership in town.
Yeah.
That sponsored all the coaches and everything. And he came pick me up, and he said, hey, jump in the cart. And we're driving out there. He said, you ever met Connors before? I said, nope. He said, you're in for a real treat. I said, okay. Yeah. So we get out there, and he doesn't say anything. He says hello.
Yeah.
But that's it. Okay. And they're on the third hole.
Yeah.
And he says, all right. So I get up, hit a drive right down the middle of the fairway.
Oh,
he doesn't say much.
Represented. Okay.
So I get up to the next shot. I don't know what it was, 130 yards away or something. I hit it on the green.
Yeah.
He didn't say anything.
Yeah.
We get to the green, and he looks at me and he says, if you make that effing putt, you can just go right back to Ohio. And I was like, holy smoke. Nice to meet you too.
Yeah.
So I didn't make the putt, by the way.
Okay.
And then about 4 holes later, it started thunderstorming. I've never seen it like in my life. So at that time, we all had metal spikes, right?
Oh, yeah.
So this guy takes his shoes off and drives back like a maniac, like we're just going to get struck by lightning. I'm thinking, who is this guy?
He doesn't like storms.
Oh, but man, anyway, and I stayed at his house, and it was awesome. But yeah, that was my first experience. That was the first time he really talked to me.
Yeah,
that was like the first statement he ever made. Don't make that effing putter. You're going back to Ohio.
I love that. Right. I love that. Now, what about the? Wasn't he in charge of the team motivation too, or whatever for the and like before a game, he has this boxing ring set up in there and brings in 2 boxers and they're just in there throwing haymakers at each other.
He did. He was the motivational guy every week for pregame.
But what did that mean? I mean, what was that? He just wanted to see 2 guys just beating the hell out of each other.
He was just talking about fighting and toughness, and he'd have a different theme every week.
Yeah.
But literally before the football game.
Yeah.
There was a boxing ring in the locker room, a full ring, and 2 guys boxed 3 rounds in the ring and just beat the snot out of each other. That was part of it. There's stuff I've never seen anything like.
That's awesome. I mean, yeah, I can't imagine you're a college football player. You're sitting there like, all right, man. I mean, they love the guy.
Oh, they were jumping up and down. I mean, dudes were getting hit.
Yeah, were they going crazy?
Oh, wild. I mean, it's just a different deal.
We're like, you had to be standing there like, what is this? I mean, what is going on?
There's stories like that could go on and on and on.
Oh,
and that's just the surface of them.
Oh,
and it was like that a lot. But it was awesome.
Yeah.
And I got a graduate degree and lived in North Carolina.
Yeah.
And then, and it's tough to stay in that business. It was because you got to go where the jobs are. And there's not a lot of D1. There's only 133 schools.
Yeah.
And, you got to be willing to move all over the country.
College coaching, dude. I mean, you got to be comfortable with every 2 or 3 years or whatever, you're going somewhere else.
Oh yeah,
because if the head guy gets fired,
you're out.
Everybody's out. Man.
Yep, they all bring their own guys. Yep. You better latch on to one of them is pretty good.
Yeah.
Because it's hard to. I mean, the assistant strength coaches don't make any money. They're working a ton of hours. I mean, they are around. It is a cool atmosphere though because you're around people.
Right.
That are energized and want to be good.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, all the athletes go to college to be good.
Oh, yeah.
So that's kind of a cool environment.
Well, yeah. I mean, they're there to work, dude.
Yeah.
I mean,
it was neat. It was an unbelievable experience. And I could never thank Coach Blackstone enough for the opportunity, for Jeff Connors for believing in me.
Yeah.
And, I got a graduate degree paid for. And an unbelievable experience around coaches who went all over the place.
Right.
And it was great.
Yeah, so let's touch on one more thing, man. I mean, this is something that I think is very unique about Mike Morgan. So you alluded to, you kind of made the decision after grad school, like, I don't know that I'm going to stay in this coaching game.
Well, I was married at that point.
Right.
And the jobs I was applying for were at Stanford and Illinois State.
Yeah, I mean, you're all over the place.
I'm looking at my wife, and I'm like, hey, we're going to move to Normal, Illinois, maybe. And she's like, no, we're not.
No, we're not. Yeah.
So and then you realize quickly, like, you either are going to be all in on that, or we got to look at something else.
Right.
And then, and she's like, hey, I'm from Michigan, you're from Ohio. I want to go back and be near family and that kind of thing. Right. So, those jobs aren't available just where you want to be.
Oh, no.
All the time. Yeah. So we took a different path.
Yeah, and what you did is you got into pharmaceutical sales.
I did.
Okay. Yep. And guys, this is the unique thing. I mean, all right, what year was that?
That was 1998.
Okay. And you have been working for the same company up until right now.
I still am. 24 years.
Yeah. Unbelievable.
Yep.
In that industry or any industry now, to be with the same company for 24 years, dude, and survive.
I mean,
that can be a roller coaster, dude.
I wasn't always confident in that. I think I've been, I was telling someone this the other day. I think I've had to wait by the phone 9 different times to see if we still had jobs.
That's got to be nerve-wracking, dude.
It was a lot more often for a certain period of time, but yeah, I mean, you think it's going to get easier every time, and it never does. But it's what it is. It's the industry. I mean, it's an industry where, obviously you're helping get medications to people.
Right.
And I have a buddy of mine that always used to say, we don't have a sales problem. We have a research and development problem.
Yeah.
So if you don't have products, you don't have sales jobs.
Yeah. Right.
So when companies come and go through patent expirations and those kind of things, the sales forces kind of get taken away and added back in. And, and we went through a lot of those downsizes. And fortunately, I'd had enough success and been around the right people and managers and that I was able to make it through there. Not all my friends were, but they're all doing great.
Yeah.
And there's a handful of us that made it so far, and I love it. Now I've switched over to the oncology side of the world and love my work that I do there. And so I've been fortunate there. It's just a lot of luck too, and success at the same time.
Yeah.
You set yourself up for it.
People create their own luck, dude.
Yeah.
But hey, man, thanks for coming on. I mean, it's been a good little talk. We're going to have to do it again. We didn't even get halfway through anything, dude.
Oh no, we're just getting started, but we could do this all day.
Yeah,
so
we probably will. We'll probably leave here and go somewhere else.
I'd love to chat more in the future about other stuff, about what I'm doing now with coaching and and my kids and
we didn't even really get into the dad game thing, man.
No.
And we got to do that. I mean, but well, hey, man, thanks. We really appreciate it. And we'll see you again soon.
No problem.
Take care, bro.
Yeah, buddy.
See ya.
Yep.